Hello and welcome. We thank you for joining us. It's our personality discussion program on Gateway Television. It's called Hot Seat. I am Adeshino Anidube. Today we have a guest, an international individual. Of course, our guest on the program today is no other than the Consul-General of the United States in Nigeria, Joseph D. Stafford. Mr. Stafford, you're welcome to the program.
Thank you. I'm delighted to be here.
Joseph D. Stafford is a career Foreign Service officer with the State Department of the United States of America, assigned as Consul General, Lagos, Nigeria, as of August 2010. He previously served as Anti-Corruption Coordinator in Baghdad, Faculty of the National War College, Ambassador to the Republic of the Gambia, Deputy Chief of Mission to Abidjan, Tunis, Algiers, among others. He also served as the State Department's Deputy Director of Maghreb Affairs and was the political analyst for the Arabian Peninsula in the State Department Office of Intelligence and Research. Our guest on the program today had several earlier assignments, among which were to Algiers, Kuwait, Cairo, Palermo, and Tehran. He joined the Foreign Service in the year 1978. Mr. Joseph Stafford, His Excellency, if you allow me to go that way, holds bachelor's and master's degrees from the University of Tennessee. His foreign languages include, but not limited to, Arabic, French, and Italian. He has received the State Department Superior and Meritorious Honor Awards, among other recognitions. He is married and has one son. Again, our guest is His Excellency, the Consul General of the United States to Nigeria, Mr. Joseph D. Stafford. One more time, I welcome you to the studio.
Well, thank you. Thank you again. As I say, I'm delighted to be here.
All right, Sheyi Adekoya is the usual face on the program. He partners me and is here again to actually partner me on this session with the Consul General of the United States to Nigeria. Sheyi.
Shino, how are you doing?
How are you?
Well, viewers, this promises to be another exciting time on television, and I welcome you and the Consul General to the program.
Thank you.
Now, you are in Nigeria, and your stay in Nigeria is still very much brief within the designation that you have now, August, and this is December of 2010.
Right.
Now, the bilateral relationship between Nigeria and the United States dated back to God knows when, but as of today, what is the state in terms of your relationship with Nigeria in the areas of capacity, human capacity development, in the area of economy, intelligence gathering, and all whatnot?
Well, let me just say that the overall relationship is an excellent one. We regard Nigeria as a strategic partner of the United States. We recognize the importance of Nigeria in the continent of Africa and beyond. It is the powerhouse of West Africa. It plays a leadership role in so many areas in terms of its economy, in terms of its contributions to peace and security throughout Africa, and as I say, beyond. It's got peacekeeping forces in Sudan. It's had peacekeeping forces in Liberia, Sierra Leone, and elsewhere. So we recognize and appreciate the leadership role that Nigeria plays in so many areas. We, from our side, are keen to do whatever we can to promote cooperation. We and Nigeria have many important interests to pursue. I've mentioned some of them: peace and security, economic development, and trade, investment, and so forth. Nigeria is a leading exporter of oil to the United States. It exports other products as well. It's not just oil. U.S. companies in the oil sector, but also in other sectors, telecommunications, for example, in terms of agricultural exports, wheat and so forth, to Nigeria, regard Nigeria as an important market, and of course it is, with 150 million people, the largest country on the continent. So we greatly value, in a word, our relationship with Nigeria. We have a binational commission that sort of symbolizes the strength of our relationship. A binational commission is one that covers a number of important areas of interest between the two countries, that meets periodically. It has working groups, and it brings together senior officials from both sides. to discuss areas such as security cooperation, economic and trade relationships, the humanitarian assistance, HIV/AIDS assistance. The United States plays an important role in that area. In terms of governance and democracy, you name it, across the board, we have an extensive dialogue that's very, very important to us.
Now, talking about trade and industrial opportunities, I do know that there's a facility on ground for African countries known as the African Growth and Opportunity Act, AGOA. I do not know how much of that Nigeria has been able to actually take advantage of, because I do know that over time, your government does say that African countries are not taking full advantage of this initiative. You have a bilateral relationship that is very strong with Nigeria. How much of this has lashed in on AGOA?
It's lashed in a big way. Nigeria takes full advantage, I would say, compared to many other states in Africa, of its eligibility for the African Growth and Opportunity Act, AGOA, as you say, which permits African countries to export duty-free a wide array of goods to America. We see it as an important mechanism for expanding trade and our economic relationship in general with Africa. In the case of Nigeria, it exports oil in particular under AGOA, and there you're talking about what, $19–20 billion, a huge amount of money a year or two to the United States. Of course, it's not just oil. There are, for example, some agricultural products and other items that are exported to the United States. Now, we understand and support the desire of Nigerians to diversify the economy, to develop their export capabilities in areas besides oil, and we want to support that so that besides oil and some agricultural products, there are other products that Nigeria can export to the United States under AGOA. But at present, Nigeria, we could say, takes major advantage of its AGOA eligibility, and as I say, the facts speak for themselves. The very large volume of oil exports to the United States.
Now, of recent, the U.S. had its midterm elections, and our own democracy here is often described as being nascent. What's the implication of this midterm election on a nascent democracy such as ours here in Nigeria?
That's an interesting question. What I would say is, in the United States, our midterm elections saw the party that holds the presidency losing some seats. Historically, that has been the case, but I think it's pays tribute to the strength of our democratic system that you have the Republican Party that does not hold the presidency at present stepping forward and capturing a majority of the seats in our House of Representatives. They also won some seats in the Senate, but not a majority. In the case of Nigeria, of course, we recognize that the elections coming up in 2011 represent a major milestone in the country's democratic evolution. We see that there are the efforts by INEC, by the political parties, by civil society to prepare for the elections. There will be the voter registration exercise. There will be, of course, the parties selecting their final candidates for the elections. You will have elections not only at the presidential level, but of course for the governorships and for the Senate, for the House of Representatives. So a thoroughgoing election system that will come into play in April. We want to be supportive. We are providing assistance, technical assistance, capacity building assistance to INEC and other institutions working with political parties, voter education, civic education. We're providing some U.S. companies are providing some equipment in terms of for the voter registration and for the vote tabulation processes. So we are very much involved in terms of supporting Nigeria's efforts to arrange good elections in 2011, recognizing their importance for the country's democratic evolution. Now, of course, we do not have a preferred candidate. We cannot. That would not be appropriate. We're a foreign state. Selection of candidates, selection of the president and other office holders is a Nigerian decision. It's not a U.S. decision. So we're not going to interfere in the electoral process, but we want to be helpful as is appropriate in terms of developing the arrangements, preparing for those elections.
Now, you have been to so many countries of the world in the foreign mission. I just want to ask you this. You've been in Nigeria for quite a while. There's often these travel warnings issued to people, U.S. citizens in wishing to come to Nigeria, urging them not to go to certain areas and all that. How safe is Nigeria? I just need an assessment from you because most times there's always these travel warnings to U.S. citizens that don't go to this area, don't go to that area. But from you, I want to know your assessment of how safe our country is here.
I have to tell you the truth that we will look to you to tell us how safe you think the conditions are and how we should adapt accordingly in view of those conditions. But let me say this: we have a duty. Every U.S. diplomatic mission in the world has a duty to its private citizens to say, if you travel to such and such a country, you should be aware that these are the conditions. And it's not only security, not only safety conditions, it's what the road system is like, what the health system is like, and so on, across the board, what life is like, so that if you're an American visitor and you need to go to a doctor, you know what the health situation is like. If you're going to travel around the country, what you should be prepared for in terms of the road situation, and so on. And so we have this duty to say in areas where there is criminality, for example, that you should be aware of that. We are not prohibiting anyone from traveling to anywhere in Nigeria, but for the sake of prudence, we think it is good for private American citizens to know that you should be careful about this, you should be careful about that. That's not unusual, and it's not targeted against Nigeria. We have statements for every country of the world where we have diplomatic missions to inform our private citizens about the situation. And I have to tell you, I've served in some places where we've got some very strong warnings. My last post was Iraq, as you mentioned, and as you can imagine, there we're not saying do not go to a certain area of Iraq, but we say that if you do go there, and you need to be careful. I'm not equating Nigeria with Iraq. Nigeria pay compliments to the fact that you have law and order. You do not have the situation of insurgency, major insurgency, major acts of terrorism that we've seen elsewhere in the world. I know there are concerns here, and there have been some regrettable acts of terrorism. We condemn those, as do the Nigerian government and people. But what I would say is that we do want to ensure that at all times private American citizens are aware of the safety, security conditions in a given country so they can take those considerations into account when they make their travel plans. That's the way I would respond to that. So it's an overall picture of a given country that we need to make private American citizens aware of.
Well, still talking about terrorism, about a year ago, a Nigerian citizen attempted to blow up a plane there in the U.S. And most Nigerians, all Nigerians generally condemned this particular act of this Nigerian who most people felt